You are now listening to the Do It Movement podcast, where we share our experiences in real estate investing and encourage you to take action. You don't want to miss what we have in store today, so let's welcome our host, Martine Richardson, and our co-host, Lord Eubanks.
What's up, Do It Movement listeners? This is your host, Martine Richardson, your rental property coach. Today, I am joined with Kristina Young, formerly Aguilera. How are you doing today, Kristina?
I'm doing so awesome. I just love it. I love that the whole rental property coach. I know you've evolved a lot, and I know you were buying a lot of rental properties, but I'm excited to also dive deeper into that part of it.
Yes. So for those that don't know, me and Kristina, we go way back. She had a mastermind I was in, and we knew each other before we had kids, before we had husbands.
Wives, yes.
So I am honored to have you on the podcast today for you to share your expertise and knowledge. I know you're very knowledgeable about real estate investing in general. And today, I think we'll probably talk about some processes, some systems, things that we all need that we might not like, but we need it to grow, to scale, all that great stuff. So, but before we get into that, let's just share your story. Like, how did you get here?
Yeah, for sure. So I started real estate investing. I think I'm going into my 12th year or something like that. But I paid $80,000, $90,000 for a mastermind. I did Rich Dad Education, and that's kind of what spiraled me into this obsession. But like any really big label, they weren't market specific. It was very vague information, and they didn't really understand what I was trying to accomplish. And to be honest, I didn't even know what I was trying to do at that point. So after spending $90 credit card, my DTI was way too high. So I couldn't buy anything. They didn't really teach me how to raise private money and stuff. So that's kind of the catapult of what started this entire obsession of real estate investing. But naturally, I went into wholesaling because I didn't need a lot of money. I had spent all of it on mentorship, and my DTI was through the roof. So I wasn't going to qualify for what we would consider now like a DSCR loan. So I just got really, really good at reverse engineering deals, and I invested in St. Louis. So what I would do was I would go to someone who is buying a rental property and be like, how do you analyze this deal? What works? Like, if I bring you a deal and it meets this 12% return on investment, you're buying it, right? So I was almost reverse, understanding what my buyer needed. And after doing a ton of those deals, I was able to raise a lot of private money, eventually buying 300 houses in 3 years, self-managing all the rental properties, managing all the construction. And that's still all done with a virtual assistant team that is based in the Philippines, and then one on-site construction coordinator that visits the properties, make sure that things are kind of running and working. And then I'm virtual. So I am not in the market that I invest in anymore, although I did build a lot of the original connections. But yeah, that's how it started. And then obviously when you buy that many houses, you're like, why can't people just do things the way I want them to do it? And it was really bad. There was a time where I would literally have my assistants or my virtual assistants email, send me a screenshot of an email before they sent it. That's how much control I wanted to have over the entire process. And through therapy, I realized I didn't really want to be needed. I wanted things to run without me. I didn't necessarily want that level of control or micromanagement, but I was just obsessed with getting the result. And until I realized that it was more of a me wanting to be needed kind of thing, I really couldn't relinquish that or properly.
Yeah, I would have thought that was you wanting control, but that's a different perspective.
It's the same thing. Wanting control is the need to be needed. You want control because you want someone to get your approval, right? So it's kind of they're simultaneous. They work very similar in place, but control sounds better. And for someone that's I always say, a lot of people, they go to couch therapy and you can't trick your therapist. Well, if you're really strong, you could trick your therapist. You could just be like, yeah, everything's fine, everything's great, And so that's what I'm saying. You have to have very intense verbiage if you want to change. If you're oh, I'm just controlling. like that doesn't trigger someone to change. Like they're just like, oh, that's
Mhm.
just, but if you're like, oh, I feel like I need to be needed all the time, like that's just like, you're like, wow, that's like a little much.
That's awesome. I love, and this is just like a side note, guys, but I love how the top entrepreneurs that come on this podcast, they had some sort of like aha moment in therapy when on working on themselves, they're really transitioning their business. So
Oh, yeah.
I don't want people to like discount. I need to work on things within because your business is only going to be as great as you are. So if there are things going on if things are going on internally, you need to go ahead and tackle those things so that you can get your business to that next level. So that's awesome.
I do think like entrepreneurship is like the best mirror. It'll like show you all your insecurities. It's going to show you your control, your like need to be needed. It's going to show you and like mirror all these things that naturally you probably like, you're just casually going by your day. And maybe you've even said like, that's just the way I am. And it'll work up until a point that it doesn't work, right? It works in relationships up until a point that it doesn't work. It works in business when you're the one doing everything. But when you want to start scaling and actually delegating to people, those things just don't serve you anymore. So it starts this like personal, professional development journey of understanding who you are as a leader, because at the end of the day, you're building a business around you. So like, what is it that you naturally like to do? What do you hate to do? Even if you're really good at it, but you don't like to do it, it's like a big, what I call like a mental load task. Like you need to know what these things are about yourself. And a lot of times, like we're just going through the motions. We have no real like time to stop and be like, oh, I actually do not like doing that. It takes me 3-4 days to do something because I just don't like doing it. And so, yeah, building processes and systems and even leveraging like AI for those high mental load tasks can be really, really helpful.
Right. Okay, so we're going to get into the processes and systems and the AI. I know people want to hear, they're like, give me the juicy deets, right? Give me the juicy, I know they want to hear it. But before we get to that, I want to ask you, because you started in one place, right, where you were doing a lot of the things, and now you're in another place. So I just want you to share with the people that are watching or listening, what does your life look like now since you have implemented these processes and systems into your business?
Yeah. So I work collectively about 20. Last week, I think I worked like 24 hours. So that is my dream life, is to work 15 to 20 hours. I want to be fully present with my son. My son's he'll be 7 months in a few days. I don't want to miss anything, you know? And I think entrepreneurship and like hustle culture tells you like, hey, sacrifice while they're really young and like they're not going to notice things. But I'll be honest with you, this isn't really about Ezekiel noticing or not noticing. This is about me and how this is my journey too. You know, like I want to be fully present. I don't want to miss anything. So I'm very, critical on like what I say yes to and what I say yes to, because it means no to my family, right? It means no to whatever I want to do. But I love scaling businesses. And so not doing that is not an option either, right? Like I just don't have the sit down in me. I love postpartum. Like I didn't take a meeting. I didn't do anything for like 3 months, almost 4 months. But I love this. I love to help people. I love people to know what's possible for them. But for me, putting all these processes and systems, I have basically 3 companies that run 100%. Like I do small tasks within them, just approvals, financial approvals. I really sit almost like the CFO of those businesses. And then in my consulting business, which I basically help other real estate investors scale and any other kind of business, put process systems in, I do about 20 hours. So yeah, that's what it looks like. I think leveraging what's out here, sometimes we just don't know what's possible. And there's a lot that's possible.
Right. That's awesome. And I can definitely relate to you. I remember when I first had my daughter, I think I planned on taking 3 months off, but I took 1 month off and I was bored out of my mind. Needed to do something for me.
Even though it's work, like you just love it so much that you want to do it.
Going back to work, I'm going to see if my mom can watch the baby.
for a couple of days.
So I definitely understand. So let's talk about it a little bit. What does it look like if right now I have no systems, right? Well, you have processes, but you probably don't have them written out or anything like that. What does it look like to get started with, systemizing your business?
Yeah, so I think you bring up a great point, right? Like people are like, I don't have processes. Processes are just how you do it, right? So if you every time a deal comes in your inbox and you're trying to figure out if you want to buy this rental property, that's a process, right? You're just overcomplicating it and you think that you're doing something special, right? Even though you might not be doing it exactly maybe how one of your students, you taught them, right? They like put their own little market specific pizzazz in it. It's still just one or two additional layers. It's not anything crazy, and you don't want it to be crazy. Like, a lot of times you don't want it to be overcomplicated. The simpler that something is, the easier it's able for you to scale, right? What happens a lot of times if you overcomplicate something too much, you don't make decisions, you lose out on deals, you can't make the offers, people are going to take deals from you because you're just too slow, right? You think about it too much. So for someone that's in that state, it's like, okay, how are you doing it? Just watch what you're actually doing. There's an amazing tool. It's called Loom. And as you're walking through it, I would recommend you like just record yourself. You don't have to like use it for anything, but watch. You can run that kind of like if you were on, a football player and you watch tape and you're like, wow, like why did I run that way when I needed to run this way? Right? Like you can't see it. There's a book called AI Driven Leader. And in the book, he says, you can't read the label from inside the box, right? So you really have to almost like remove yourself and look at it kind of like you do in EMDR therapy and watch what you're actually doing and be like, wow, that was inefficient. Like that doesn't make sense. So it could be that simple. Just take one piece that honesty is like your money-making thing that just takes you too long, right? I would say it's deal analysis, raising money, right? Like creating the package of what you need to give to someone. Today, I'm going to talk about how you can use AI to actually create these things. Like, just do not make yourself, like, don't make it so complicated. And even if it is complicated, we can use an AI tool that allows us to like get out these private money packets earlier or faster. Like there's a template that you're using over and over again. Usually it's like a Google Doc, you copy it and then you're editing things. If that is the case, those are things that we can delegate or even leverage AI to do 100% without us.
Man, I remember before I had my processes written down and we were just on the fly that I would, and this happened when we were writing processes down, that we would talk about, okay, so when you get a deal, what do you do? And I was like, well, sometimes we do it this way and sometimes we do it that way. And it really made me focus on, like you're saying, you're doing the Loom video, right? You're seeing what you're doing. So you can say, why am I doing it like that? But having someone that was like asking me those questions, it made me realize we need to simplify this so someone else can do it. And then also, like for me, and I just want to talk about from my experience because processes, writing things out, having all that done, that is not my strength. I do not like doing that, but I know it's needed. And I remember I had a team and I'm like, why aren't they doing it the way I wanted to be done? And it was like, because I had...
When you send me your processes and I'm like, this is so confusing. Like, green and yellow. It was like that document was so color coded. And I was like, what am I supposed to do?
And I was like, oh, I'm not making it simple enough for people to even follow it. And it was like, it was just how I thought. I was scatterbrained. Like, that's just how I work.
And that's okay. Like, sometimes that's in your brain. It makes sense because here's the thing with like a founder, a CEO, the real estate investor, right? You're just so used to like doing all the parts of it, right? You're doing the marketing. You're doing the deal underwriting. You're talking to sellers. You're doing the transaction coordinating. You're managing the project. Like this honestly is 6 different jobs, right? Like if you were delegating to someone, they're different skill sets. We are just very weird people, all these things, but it's not normal. I just want you guys to understand you are not normal. You're weird and we love it. Welcome to the club of super weird people. But I think when you're delegating, right, you have this preconceived notion, right? And Martine, you know, like you network, you've gone to all these events, masterminds, all this stuff. These employees, whether they're human employees or AI employees, have not been in the rooms that you've been in. They weren't at the mastermind, right? They weren't at the event. So you have to almost digest that information and tell them exactly what part of what you just heard. You heard 3 days worth of stuff. What are we actually implementing? And I use this very, very simple framework, right? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? And how do I want it done? What, why, how? A lot of times, like, and you know this because you have a 3-year-old, if you tell them to do something, they literally say, why, right? And that's the same thing with a grown adult. Why are we doing this? And if you don't give them context on why are we doing this exact way, so like with an acquisition person, hey, once you get a contract, you're going to fill out this TC handoff, right? Which says the contract date, and it says who's doing the walkthrough, and it's going to say what if there's any weird holdbacks or just anything. Like, just give me a little snapshot of the deal, so when it goes to the transaction coordinator, they know what to do. But if you don't say why they're doing that, that just seems like another task, another thing. Hey, what we're trying to do is just avoid the transaction coordinator having to ask you any more questions. You're on to the next deal. No one even has to talk to you. You can start calling and you can get your next deal by someone continuously calling you, asking you, hey, who's doing the walkthrough and who's doing this? And is there a property manager? Is there a lease? Is there this? Is there that? That's taking you from money. So now you say what's in it for them. They're bought in. Okay, this makes sense, right? Because I'm losing money by you calling me and me not being on the phone. So just, you know, whenever we're delegating frameworks or using a delegation framework, it's very important to say the why and not like this dictatorship of like, do this. Like, you also have to give context on why we're doing what we're doing.
Do it this way because I said so. It doesn't work too well.
I'm recovering.
So we get a video, we record our task, what we're doing and stuff like that. Okay, what's the next step? We're watching the video. Where do we go from there?
So what I would say, like, originally, if you're just trying to do, like, simplify your life a little, right? The first thing is whatever is like a huge, like the thing you're spending the most time, usually this is underwriting and like preparing to raise money or present it to a lender. Let's just start there because that's what's going to give you, I always say, like a quick win, right? You're going to realize, wow, this actually works. So I always say start with one thing that is taking you 10 hours a week. And then you're like, wow, Christina actually is right. Let's do the rest of the stuff. But let's just say we're doing one simple task. So we know, hey, it's underwriting to raising money, like that entire micro process, because we're trying to buy rental properties. We're trying to build our portfolio. That includes a hybrid of private money lenders and DSCR loans, let's just say. So what we're doing is we're going to watch ourselves underwrite it and what is like the email that we're sending to the lender or the process for that stuff. Then we look at it. Okay. And when it comes to underwriting specifically, if you're using a calculator, okay, like a specific calculator, you can actually upload that calculator into a chat GPT and upload it and be like, hey, every time, whatever fields are the ones that you input, right? So it's like purchase price, construction, management fee, whatever it is, you can actually tell it, hey, every time I submit you a new deal, tell me what I need to give you in order for this calculator to work. Then you do that. And right after it, the second thing of that is write me a private money packet. This is an example of what my private money email looks like. And as long as you give it an example, what we call in this world outcome, hey, this is my example. This is what it should look like. This is literally the intern of your dreams. But you have to give it an example of what it's supposed to give you. And I think that's where we fail, even in delegating to humans, right? We tell them, hey, write me an email for private money.
Figure it out.
And then when they give it to you, you're like, this is terrible. This is not what I asked for. And it's like, it's exactly what you asked for. I had context. So I think using AI tools, whether it's so ChatGPT, you've probably heard like Grok, Claude, all of these things are large language models. They're all different. They do the same stuff, but each of them have different specialties, right? So if you're doing copywriting or writing a blog or really nice content that you need to do. Usually Claude is best for that. But for us as real estate investors, an underwriting calculator, an email to a private money lender package, you know, like you want to say, hey, this is what I'm willing to give you. You can even train AI to say, what's the most I can give my private money lender for this deal still to work? This is what a deal looks like for me, right? I don't want to go I want to make at least $300 a month in cash flow. This needs to include my underlying debt. Right now, the interest rate's 7%. You are a world-class, you know, portfolio master, or you can even say you are Martine Richardson, rental property coach. If I were to present you this deal, what questions would you have for me? Because Martine has a bunch of content on the internet. She has podcasts that are transcribed, and the internet and ChatGPT knows, hey, go find out what Martine's frameworks are that she's actually shared online. And if you're in her coaching community, you can actually upload maybe a document that she's given you of how to do something, right? So in the world of AI, you can do what's called like a knowledge base, which is the SOPs of the world. And they don't have to be fancy, right? When you're delegating to a human, it has to be very like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. GPT and ChatGPT and AI, like they can figure it out. You just have to give them the content. So even if it's, you know, Martine, you're doing a coaching call, you can upload your coaching call transcriptions, and it literally is trained like you to say the things that you're saying, make decisions the way you make decisions. But you have to give it the knowledge base. And I think if you start using AI, it's going to make you 100% a better communicator. It's also going to help you delegate, because you understand that bad input, right? Like feeding it bad information is going to give you a bad output. It's going to ask you more questions, right? If you give it all the context up front, what's their role? Who are they? Right? What do you need help doing? And if they have any clarifying questions, they can, you know, hey, ask me any clarifying questions if I didn't tell you everything I wanted you to do when I said, hey, you're Martine and I'm giving you a deal that I need you to underwrite for me.
Right. And then you just gave me an idea. I do not use AI for this, but after this episode, I will. That when you're talking to different lenders as well, like you can tailor the email based off of like their personality, what they tend to look for, and train it so that it will make the email, hey, I'm going to send an email to Bob. And you've trained it to know what Bob likes. So it sends it in a way that Bob can receive it.
Yeah. So what you could do is you could create a document to upload into the knowledge base, right? Which would have different templates, one for Bob, one for Joe, one for whoever, right? So you could have the different, and it's like, hey, whenever I say I'm sending an email to Bob, use this template. Like it's going to know, hey, always refer to the templates inside of private money lender templates or something, you know? So it's going to know to pull that data. And the cool thing about it is you're like, hey, I want to send it to Todd, Joe, and Mikey and Lori all at the same, like I want all 4 of these. It could literally do all 4 and you're just copying and pasting it.
I love it.
As opposed to like going back to scratch and like having to do it again. My goal is that you guys can shed about 5 to 10 hours a week just by using this.
Right.
And it's possible, right? Because it takes you, okay, I need to go and like look at my calculator and how much money could I actually give Bob? So if we have this GPT, and we should make this as a custom GPT. So anytime that you're using something over and over again, you're actually going to go into ChatGPT and create it as a actual like custom GPT. You don't want to keep this as a prompt, right? Prompting is one thing. That's like question, answer. You're just doing something like a one-off. If you're going to continue to underwrite deals and you're going to continue to create private money stuff, you would basically load it with all of this stuff. And then you're just starting a new chat in that GPT that basically is for 123 Main Street. Hey, new analysis for 123 Main Street. Perfect. These are the questions that they're going to ask you. All right, good. This looks good. Prepare the emails for Bob, Joe, and Joe Mama. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted a girl name, but I couldn't think of anything.
That'll work. That'll work. So let's shift a little bit. So we're talking about, how we can use ChatGPT to send out to our lenders, make our offers and stuff like that. But let's say we have someone that's listening. They already have rental properties. They're managing their properties. They want to make that process more efficient for them because they're in the state where like, oh, I gotta hire me a property manager because this is too much. How can either AI or the systems and processes help that type of person?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different things depending on like what part of it is actually driving you to want to hire this project manager or property manager, right? So if it's notices, right? Okay, these people are defaulting, they haven't paid their rent, right? You can actually, you're writing out template letters and you're putting them in the mail or you're posting it on a door. Those things that take manual tasks that literally is like, prepare. I could literally screenshot inside of my portal. I don't know what project property management software do you usually work with?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I use apartments.com.
Okay, perfect. So like, let's say apartments.com, there's a report feature in there that tells you everybody that's past due on rent. Instead of manually typing this, you would just take a screenshot and say, prepare notice of default letters for these tenants. And because on there, it's going to have the tenant name, it's going to have the address, and you already gave it the template of this notice of default. And even if you didn't, just being honest, ChatGPT is actually really smart. It could just make one. You would just have to edit it, right? That's the main thing when you're using any of these large language models is it is your partner. It is not your everything, right? Like you have to have human intuition. Sometimes it's going to say something. You're like, why would you put that there? Just delete it, right? So you have to kind of train it for that. But yeah, even something like that, you can literally like screenshot, put it in there, prepare notice of defaults. You can actually put in like pull reports from apartments.com and be like, based off of this rent roll, should, I don't like, let's say you give it a framework. You are a property manager. I am managing my lease renewals. I'm going to give you rent rolls based off of rent rolls, timeliness of payment. Which of these leases should I renew? And it'll tell you like, okay, well, this person was late 10 out of the last 12 months. We probably shouldn't renew them. Right. Or whatever context makes someone not renewable, right? But you have to tell it, hey, in my company, I don't want to renew tenants if they miss, one payment or if they go on a payment plan or whatever your case is, right? You need to have your parameters, right? I think, Martine, we had talked about this like originally, but it's like, okay, what's your application, right? And this is actually perfect. This is something people use for a property manager for. Okay, someone applies to your apartment. How do I make the decision? You should know, hey, I expect 4 times rent or 3 times rent. I expect them not to have any evictions. I expect them this. You could literally, as long as you tell ChatGPT, hey, these are my parameters, which you would tell to a regular human or your property manager, whoever. So you know what your ideal tenant looks like. You load that in there. You literally can screenshot whatever report and be like, are we accepting this person? Yes or no? And give me the reasons why.
Right.
So those like little micro things that you're doing manually or you're having to look it up or you're having to just give yourself a process or a definite yes, no. And even if you have some things that you're like, hey, if someone does have an eviction, but it's over 5 years old and they've been at their job consistently, I might take that person into consideration. If you tell ChatGPT that, it'll just say, hey, this one, it meets the 4 review guidelines. So just like double look at this one because yes, they've had an eviction, but it's, they have a consistent job. So whatever those little nuances are that you think, kind of what you said earlier, like, well, yeah, sometimes we do it this way and it depends on this. Just document the it depends. And you don't have to write this out. This is probably the biggest misconception. You don't have to write it out. Get a Loom video, speak it out. And in Loom, there's a transcription feature. Copy and paste that entire transcription and upload it into your knowledge base. And that's part of your process.
I love it. I love it. You have been a wealth of knowledge today. And if you aren't using AI after this episode, I don't know what to tell you. Because it sounds like it's going to make your life a lot easier.
It really could. Even if you don't like use it to its full capacity, because there's like so many, when people think of AI, it's like scary and it's unethical, like there's all these things, it's cheating and all this stuff. But I will tell you, like, it is my mission, right? To teach more Hispanics, Blacks, women to use these tools because the tools were not built by us. So they're biased against us. So if we give it more context on emotion and stuff like that, and actually I do want to say something. So inside of ChatGPT, there's a toggle in your settings that says like, I contribute, right, to like, you could use my data. I always toggle that piece off because I might give it a deal or something. And I just don't want that to be public knowledge. So that's where the privacy feature comes on. Once you set up an account, it's automatically to share. So make sure you guys are toggling that off. But I just think that this is what is making the Blackstones of the world and the big real estate investors, they're leveraging these tools, and we're going to fall behind if we don't know how to use them. You know, it's not that AI is replacing jobs and stuff like that. People who actually know how to use AI is what's going to actually replace people's jobs. It's not the tool itself. Like, someone needs to program it, give it the knowledge base, give it the information. Like, it just can't do any, you know, these things by itself.
Right. So what's a resource that has helped you, or you think that can help people that are listening? They're like, I love what she's saying. I want to get, you know, I want to do more of this stuff. What's a resource that you can kind of guide people to?
So I do really like the AI Driven Leader. It's a book, and he has like a website online. It's like they have like a custom GPT. It's called a Thought Partner. But I think it'll allow you to, what can I use AI for, right? What are things that can make AI my thought partner, right? So if you just have a thought and you're like, hey, I keep on having this issue with tenants, right? For whatever reason, they don't know how to submit maintenance requests. I've given them this portal. I send them this email. How can I make this better? It can help you with things like that, right? So AI Driven Leader is a really, really good book that I think could be helpful. Yeah. And then just start using it. Like, start using it, see what's possible, how it can like honestly like save you time. There's so many tools out there. What I will say is, don't go out there and subscribe to all these tools. There's like infinite amount of what we call like micro tools that have some capacity of AI. Really learn how to do what I'm saying right now of like prompting it for your own business, creating these custom GPTs that for whatever things are repetitive over and over again, its knowledge base is preloaded with your underwriting calculator, your email templates that you use for private money lenders, your deal parameters. And that's like your underwriting and raising money assistant. Like that, it can literally be your assistant that knows exactly what you do. And yes, it does take a little bit of time to set up. I'm happy to help you guys set some of this stuff up, but it does take a little bit of time because you do have to get these things out of your brain and your process, and you have to speak it out loud or do it on Loom or whatever. But it can save you so much time, and you can get offers out significantly faster. Like, there's just so much advantage to using these things. You just have to start using them and see where you can put it in your own life.
Right. Okay. Well, I want to tell you, thank you so much for being on the podcast, sharing all that valuable information. I already knew you were going to bring it when you came on. So thank you for sharing that with our listeners. If people want to stay in touch with you, what's the best way to stay in contact?
Instagram's probably the best. I put a lot of content. I've been actually sharing a little bit more about this stuff. We've been testing a lot of this stuff out internally over the last year and implementing it for some of our clients, directly in their businesses, but I haven't really been talking about it too much. So anything that's AI, any questions you guys have, Kristina Aguilera _ on Instagram is still the best Instagram and way to kind of contact me. I'm super responsive on there, so I can answer any questions. If you have an idea, I can tell you kind of how to build it, or if you guys want to do, I do have a gap analysis that I do for businesses. So if you guys want me to kind of run through your process with you, see where those gaps are at, what kind of tools you can use AI for, how to build these things, you can reach out to me on Instagram. There's a link on my Instagram for the gap analysis as well.
Okay, awesome. And if you're listening to this and you are not already a part of the community and you want to buy your first rental property with no money down, I want to invite you to join my free Facebook group. It's called The Freedom Inc. It's completely free. All you have to do is answer 4 questions. I'll let you in, and I give you all sorts of tips so that you can get your first rental property with no money down. Thanks again, Kristina. Until next time, Do It Movement listeners. See ya.
Thank you for tuning into our show. If you need more hand-holding on your rental property investor journey, book a 15-minute strategy session with with Martine. We can see if you're a fit for the Freedom Inc. fam, link in the show notes. Also be sure to join the free Freedom Inc. Facebook group, where each week Martine goes over a real-life rental property investor deal and shows you how the deal was found, how to get the money, and how to make it cash flow and much more. If you'd like to connect with Lori, be sure to email her at vitalizeproperties@live.com. Until next time, see ya.